Welcome to Listen.
Teacher chatter.
This is Robin.
And Jill.
Hey, we haven't seen each other in so
I know.
long. Life's gotten busy, but we are glad to be back today.
I know. And guys, we do have some news though. So this is technically going to be our
Last one.
Our last one. So our series, our
Finale.
finale.
The finale.
The finale of it all. And we'll get into that a little bit more too. But
yeah.
there's just a season for all things, and 3 years.
3 years. And listen, some of you have stuck with us through it and stayed with us. And man, 3 years. We laugh because we think when we started this, we thought if we lasted a year, it'd be amazing.
And it was.
And it was amazing.
Great. We loved it.
And 3 years here we were doing it. And you know what? It was not an easy decision, but we always said we would do it until it got a little stressful. And life gets busy and things, it's just hard to find time to get together and record. And so we just feel, instead of leaving people hanging when we're going to have the next one or whatever, it was time to just close this chapter and just
you can
call it a good run.
You can blame me. Let's call it as it is. Guys, I have 3 boys that are in multiple things, and we're in the thick of it. And it's a really hard decision, and just us talking about it. And it's one of those things I'm like, I never felt like it was an inconvenience. It was just hard to find the time to get it together.
Yes.
And we also felt, like you said, that we still wanted to be, it was hard not to be able to be consistent with it. And so anyways, here we are.
So we're going to our last one, and we're just going to recap kind of like the highs and lows of our memories and our thoughts and some of our things we want to just share.
I mean, this could go on for like 2 hours.
You might have a whole month, for a week. We may be able to do this for the whole month of February.
And I didn't finish the episode. They're series finales, so we'll just keep on trucking along.
But we do want to share some of our memories and go with it. So you know what? Let's start with it.
Okay.
Some of the best parts.
So
our highs of it.
Yeah. So I think for me, the high, and it's really why we started it, which was like to encourage people and kind of give them that little extra push, because we know that teaching is hard. And for me, one of the best parts has always been people coming up or just letting me know, like, whatever we had said on the episode that week is exactly what they needed.
Yeah.
Whether it was the scripture or a story that made them laugh or that they could relate to. That was just always the most meaningful part for me, for sure.
I love that too. And I think that is that sometimes you didn't even realize that people, and I'll never forget that people said, especially teachers I taught with and stuff, they said, I love listening to you guys because it reminded me of being in your classroom again. Yeah. Or somebody that says, I don't have really a close team. And it felt like sitting you with you in the morning and laughing as with you and Jill and like having a good time. And I think it just made them feel like they were part of this family. Yeah. And that was some of the very best too. I love that part.
I mean, the stories that people would tell us, though, I mean, there's so many that still stand out. I've got to call out my friend Lexi, because her sharing the story about going to that conference and rubbing the pain relief on a stranger's back.
I just can't. I have laughed. I will say, that's another plus. I have laughed so hard hearing these stories and hearing other people share their life and their things. I can't.
And I think the other part, it's like opened up an avenue of people that, like, we're even if we don't necessarily know them that well, they feel like they know us to share a story. And I'm like, yeah.
I was thinking some of that is kind of what I did put that as part of that as part of the low. Is that people listen to us faithfully, and they know our life story, and then you see them, especially like in our school district, and they look at you like they really know you, and I'm like, I don't know who you are exactly. Like, your name kind of sounds familiar, but you're like, I don't. They're like, yeah, I heard you do this. And I was like, how do they know that? And you're like, oh, they listen to the podcast. But it felt like kind of weird. Sometimes I'm like, how do they know this? Like, this kind of feels weird. And then I realized, because we have no secrets and we shared everything in our life. So
that is true. I'd have this like feeling like, am I crazy? How do I know?
I know.
And it is like, we're in a bigger school district, but it's still a community.
It is.
In a close knit community in a lot of ways. And so you do feel like I mean, even for me though, I feel like I know some people and they probably don't
100%
have any idea.
Listen, my husband says it all the time. Those people don't know you. I'm like, yes, they do. I was like, they do. But I do want to say I was at FD's the other day.
Yeah.
And the hostess did go to school here, but I don't really. And she's like, hey, I saw you on TikTok. And Dave's like, oh my gosh, someone actually recognized you on TikTok. I was like, listen, I'm famous like that.
In all serious, okay, our TikTok, is it coming back around? Because a bunch of sixth graders found it the other day and were like, Mrs. Weedle, I found your TikTok. And I was like, what? And I'm like, oh gosh. And I'm like, what is on there?
It is so funny. So that's been a high too. Like, I mean, Dave's like, oh my, and Maddie's like, someone even actually recognized me. I said, listen, I'm very important. I'm famous. I don't know why you guys are acting surprised. I'm well known in this area. Thank you. And they laughed so hard, but I was like, oh my gosh, what are the chances? So that has been a fun thing of doing those things.
Which I also made me think about some of the positives is that the opportunities we've had because of this. Like,
listen.
Us hosting the Oscars for our school district.
I don't even
know why.
I was actually live with somebody the other day because they were talking about they were going to have to get up and teach a class. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's my worst nightmare. And then she's like, you do the Oscars every year. And I was like, I know, you're right. Now that you say that, but I'm like, every year we have done it for, the first year we're like, well, they should have asked us. And then after that, they asked us like we were being sarcastic.
I know.
Like we wouldn't expect that. And then they really did ask us and how we have done that. Like, I mean, how many years?
3 years.
And
we also thought they dropped us, so they didn't.
So every year we're expecting that we're dropped.
And now if they find out our podcast is
they're going to be like, Robin and Jill who?
Oh, man.
But yes, it's been such a fun opportunity. And, I was thinking back of, especially in the first year and even kind of the second, we got to interview some awesome people.
Oh
like many different people came in and from all different school districts and all different, jobs and stuff. And I'm like, what an opportunity that has been that we got to have that experience and kind of see different views and different jobs and different, even some people that we don't always maybe agree with. Yeah. And it was interesting to see,
Yeah.
And so that was very exciting thing. I think a high of all that.
Yeah. The low would be those moments where somebody says something
and you're like
in your classroom environment when a kid says something and you're not sure how to react, you can kind of pull them aside or you realize it's just within your classroom. Yes. In the podcast world, when somebody says something that you're not expecting or you don't know how to react, and we're pretty good on our feet.
We are good on our feet.
Like, I actually had somebody tell me the other day, they're like, I think you actually prefer not having a script and just kind of going with something.
Better
like,
that way.
Yes, I do. But in those moments, I'm like, we've had a few of them where I've been
and I was like, this kind of goes against everything we believe. Like, so everything we say all the time, I'm like, is this okay? Like, what do I do? Abort.
How do I pivot away from this? Like, I don't know what to do.
So what's your favorite food? So that was kind of a low because there was a few times that I'm like, well, that went different.
And like we can edit it, and sometimes we have.
We have.
We have edited.
But sometimes
parts.
when it's the most the whole time, it's kind of like, I can't wait to delete the whole thing. So that was interesting.
Oh my gosh! And okay, here's another technology issues.
Oh, in fact, the last time we recorded.
Oh, that's right.
The very last time.
We didn't even get.
And we joked about it, and we said, "Oh no, this one." Well, I said, "Well, the whole other one." We're like, "No, it should have saved. We've already saved the first one." I went home to thing, it was totally missing. Yeah, so we're like, listen, we can't we don't have time to get back together. We didn't even publish that one. So and I was going to say the low is that because listen, beginning of the year, the good old days. My friend here, Jill, did everything. I was just like a well-kept woman. I just came and talked and Jill did all the work and that was the life. Well, then it seemed like I was being a little selfish. So I had to step up and do my part. And, it is tricky. I don't think people realize it. And now the great news of it is when I edit and I listen, I catch myself laughing like it's the first time I've heard the conversation. But the editing and the listening to it.
That's funny.
But that is and the recording and not recording. And then there's times that I remember one time, was it Chris Bauman? We recorded and it didn't record. And we had to go back and do it again. And we didn't think it was going to work that time. And I mean, we had to get my cell phone out and play it on my cell phone for you to record. Yes. It was like, a nightmare. So
those, but you know what? Those have helped us. It's helped me prepare for my current role in working with technology stuff. And
that is true.
So there's that. Yay! Look, this is the positivity coming out in me. Oh my god.
Another thing that I was thinking that was such a fun time when we did the live podcast. That having friends come out, and I will never forget. I was like, told my family, I was like, you all have to be there. We have to at least have 10 people there. Like, and we don't want it to be just Jill and I, and my family came out, and then there was like 40 people. I mean, so many friends, and like friends that didn't even teach at our school that came out. Like, it was the most fun, and having those people to support, and they asked questions, and we had kids there. Like, that will always be a great memory from our podcast. It's just the support and the love from people that came out on a Friday night to do a pod. I mean, it was just crazy. It was crazy.
And for that one too, you know, I think maybe throughout this, we've had like things we didn't even know we would want to do, or that we had, I don't even want to say they were dreams, but it was like this, like things you didn't even think would ever happen. No. Like, and then they did.
And you're like, listen, we're going live. Like, I think that's another fun thing that we've done is like, we have jumped into so many things this last 3 years. Like, okay, let's do TikTok videos. Okay, let's do reviews. Let's sell some stuff on Amazon. Okay, let's do a live show. Let's do the Oscars. Like, we have done, like, nobody in their right mind. Like, people at home think about doing things, and in their head, they're thinking, oh, Lord, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Not us. We just jumped right in. We didn't care. We just gave it a try, and we're like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we sure had fun doing it, and I love that.
That was one of the things I put down, was just the willingness of jumping into whatever. And I've appreciated just your partnership in all that, because I may bring some weirdo idea and you're like, yeah, let's do it. That sounds like a great one. And I think we're both those people that are like, we might as well try it and see what happens.
We have nothing to lose.
But even the podcast, putting it together was, we talked about it.
Yeah.
But I think we're also those people, like, somebody gives us a little nudge. Yeah. And we're like, okay. Like, so it was us talking and then you being like, kept coming into my room, and I'm like, okay. So then what did I do? I started researching. Like, how do you even start doing a podcast? And here we are. It all. And
we were selling T-shirts.
I know. I wore mine today. I was like, I better go out on top with it. But and even that stuff, like, having merch, was ridiculous. We have earrings, like
it was.
We currently still have an Amazon store. We just haven't even our Amazon associates.
That's right.
It's just one of those pieces. But I honestly, like, I couldn't imagine doing it with anybody else.
No, I agree 100%. And I think that's, looking back, also, like, God knows in your life when he opens doors for the right person at the right time. But I feel like even for us, like, we worked together the first year together, but then we separated, and you went to your middle of school and I went here. But that time coming together wasn't even about the podcast. It was sharing life with each other and sharing our prayer requests and hard things and positive things. And it could not have been, I can honestly say, never once have I felt stressed about any time we've done this. Like, even like if I could make it, you're like, no big deal. If you can't make it, I'm like, I never felt like, oh, Jill's going to be, and like when the thing didn't record, I wasn't like, oh, I dread telling Jill. I'm like, listen, it didn't work. And you're like, oh, I guess it didn't work. And like, but there's not many people that could have clicked and you could have even that easy to do it.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that, because it only felt fun. You know what I mean?
100%. And that's what I was saying. Like, with it even ending, it's not even because it felt like it's not because it was stressful or anything like that. It was just kind of the season of it all. And so, who knows, maybe in a year we'll come back.
Just when you thought we were gone, boom, all of a sudden it's going to jump up. So don't unfollow us. Cause you know what?
That's right.
It might show back up all of a sudden.
You never see all of our episodes, not all of them, but the last couple of years, they were all on YouTube.
Yeah.
So you still have all those you can go check out with it.
When you're missing us, just listen to those.
Go back into the YouTube
I agree.
and figure it out.
I agree.
But on that note, though, like you said, it's funny because it's not like we always got along, and like I would have said we were friendly.
Oh yeah.
But the depth that we've been able to get to over the last few years has been, like, we've probably said this numerous times on the podcast, but it was almost like counseling sessions for us as we'd come together, whether it was, and this was the off-air stuff, whether it was family stuff or church stuff or husbands or
kids,
your teaching world or job situations. I mean,
we spent a lot of time praying for each other and sharing each other and encouraging each other, and most of it was off there. You don't want to know all our dirty laundry. We shared a lot of it, but you didn't want to know all of it.
So some other things I was just thinking about too is how, and you mentioned this, but just how God works things out, because with our podcast, there were so many pieces that lined up, even with my current job situation, and feeling comfortable with some different technology pieces, because in my building, I'm our communication coordinator, which deals with all the social media for my building and putting together newsletters and all of these things. And I'm like, this is totally stuff that I was already doing, or creating reels that can be fun and engaging. And
let's go back to the reels a little bit. I have had more people also say to me, your reels came back up when Jill was playing pranks on you all the time. They said, I could watch that over and over and over again. They said, I could spend hours watching your things. And, that was some very scary time in my life.
Some very scary times.
And they're actually, someone else brought up the other day, they're like, when we were doing the few things that we were doing the reviews on.
Yeah.
They were like, when Jill was showing that spider to you kept being afraid. And then the throw up, they said they threw up. They're like, we could not stop watching it. But like, those were such fun memories. Like, what I mean? It's like, it is fun to laugh about that and look back. And like, I think it goes back to like, we just didn't even know what we were doing, but we were sure having fun doing it.
Yeah.
You were having more fun than I was.
I mean, it's debatable. I like to think you were having an absolute blast with it all. Oh my gosh. Well, and I guess we could also say this, like when we were joking about, who knows, we might record a pod, like we're not closing down our Facebook or TikTok. I mean, I guess the government tried to close down TikTok, but
maybe because they heard we were ending our podcast. They're like, if the teacher can't be in there, it's not even worth having it.
Get it out of here. But we'll still have all those things going. And guys, here's the truth about it. All it takes is for me to message Robin or Robin to message me with like, hey, do you want to get together?
Yes.
And the other will most likely say yes if it's at all possible.
And listen, there is a good chance that might happen, but we just didn't want to leave you guys hanging and thinking like I was done with Jill and I'm like, don't come visit me anymore.
Yeah,
we wanted to know there was no big fight. You're not going to find us on TMZ. Is it TMZ? That Jill and Robin's just not getting along.
They split. What do we call it? Jobbing?
Jobbing
is no more.
Jobbing is no more. There's some drama, we wanted to clear up because we don't want to lead you down the wrong path. So we want you to know that we're still together. We're not angry with each other. We just are busy. We're still busy.
Friends.
We're still friends. We're just busy. But yeah, you never know when we'll pop back up. And if something exciting happens, there might be a podcast that pops up every so often.
Yeah.
But it's just we wanted to kind of have a little closure for you guys and not wonder because everybody has been. I just can't believe the love that we have felt.
Oh my,
and the encouragement and the messages that come in our message boxes be like, hey, that's exactly what I needed today.
Mm-hmm.
Your positivity, we love your positivity because like we said, our job is hard and nowadays you can find a billion reels and things, but everybody's usually trashing how bad it is to be a teacher and that how hard it is and stuff. And it isn't what we wanted to do. We didn't feel like that's what God calls us to do. We wanted to make sure we were positive and we showed you the joy of teaching.
Yeah.
And we hope that's what we accomplished.
Yeah, for sure. And if you need it still, I mean, come and find one of us. If we don't have anything out there new online, come find one of us. And
just call us. We'll share.
Well, and I will just say this about Robin in general. And for those of you that know her, this is true. But like Robin just has such a joy about her that you enter into her presence and you're just happy. And I mean, and that's where I feel like I've been really fortunate because even on those days, or if I do need a vent or whatever, we'll find the positivity, but you get to be that person that vents. But again, just, I I mean, Robin is a rarity in the world that we live in, and I hope that everybody can have. You may not have this Robin, but your own version of Robin
now,
in
listen,
your life.
I told Jill we are not getting emotional today.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what she said. But I know this will surprise you, but I'm a little more emotional than Jill is. Like, remember she don't like Christmas lights up or anything, so we know where we are. That's the only thing we're different. And I said,
I love Jesus. Okay, I don't need it.
You don't need
decorations.
You don't need those decorations. But I said, listen, I'm older than Jill, and I'm getting emotional in age and stuff. So I'm gonna say this without crying, which means I'll probably cry because that's what I do. But that's the hardest thing about this, Cindy. Mm-hmm. Because it's been a fun time. Mm-hmm. And just because she says nice things, she's going to make me pay her when she gets done with this about saying those nice things about me. but I feel the same way about her, and it has been so fun. And I always am thankful when God gives me people to do life with.
Yeah.
And I'll always be thankful to have this memory of doing life with you.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And it's been a good time.
Yeah.
And I'm getting old, and I'm just going to cry.
It's going to make me get emotional.
Remember what I said about TMZ? Wrong. I'm angry with her. I'm wrong. I'm actually angry with her now. I didn't want to break up. She's making me break up with her. I'm so sad. No, just kidding. But
I think that, I mean, what you're saying, though, with like God bringing people into your life.
Yes.
And so, we talk so much about those people that you're going through life with.
Yes.
And how important it is that you have that positivity around you. And there's been times, I mean, like that we've had hard conversations or things have been brought up. And like I said, it could be personal or professional. Yes. But having somebody that you also know that you can go to and
trust,
yes, because there's been a lot of confidential stuff that I'm like, we can't share whatever
Put it in the vault.
Yeah, but having those people you can trust, share with, and do life with, and I mean, there's a season for all of those things, but God also puts those people in your lives. So be on the lookout if you don't have those people currently, but also be praying for them to show up in your life, because this was honestly an unexpected journey. Yes. I did not know that I would be taking, but I am so grateful that I did, or that we did. So
100%. And I think the greatest thing is you get to choose who you want to be in life. You know what I mean? And I think you get to choose who you hang out with. You get to choose your attitude. You get to do so. I want you to remember that, even though that we hope that our scriptures we shared with you, because when it comes down to it, we want to lead you to God.
Yeah.
We want to lead you to the cross, and that we want you to know that you are amazing, that you are special, and that God had chosen you in this profession, if you are a teacher, to do great things. And I hope, if nothing else comes from the podcast, that you were able to have joy, that we showed you God, that we showed you his faithfulness, and that we helped you be a better person.
Yeah.
I think that's when it came down. We really just hope we did something to make you a better day and a better person.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's that idea, I think we've shared this before too, but in our classrooms in a public school setting, we're not able to just freely share our faith, in the way that we may kind of want to in some situations. But the things that you show in your classroom, your students know, and they see that there's something different about you. And there's so many people in this world that are searching for that something to fill that hole inside their heart. And if it's in this moment that you're kind of going like, why? And we're pretty joyful people.
We are.
Honestly,
yes.
We are. And
it
comes
easy
joy.
For us.
Yes.
Like,
and positive and all those things. But the reason, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think I can in this situation, the reason we're able to be that is because of Christ and because of having Jesus in our heart.
100%.
And knowing that we're not perfect individuals.
Oh.
Okay. And we fall short a lot. But also knowing that that God's forgiven us for those things, and that we're just trying to be our best version for him every day, and being a good example, and that is the thing that makes us different, I guess. And other people obviously have that too, but that's hopefully what we've been able to show people.
Yeah. And I was actually just talking to someone last night, and I said, there's not one of us is deserving of what God has done for us. Like there's nothing there's nothing I have done that deserves God's forgiveness and his blessings and the things. But when you do have the joy in your heart and he lives there, it does make things better. It doesn't mean we don't have bad days. It doesn't mean that sometimes I do have my grouchy pants on and I have to change into the happy pants. Like, none of us are perfect.
Yeah.
But he is constant, and it does give you a peace and joy that you can't get it anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's just constantly there.
And sometimes putting on the happy pants is a choice over the grouchy pants. You know?
It is 100%.
Because there are times that I can feel myself going down a negative avenue, whatever it may be, and I have to recognize it and switch gears with it. And so, but I think that's also the Holy Spirit kind of giving that prompting, like, this is not the area you need to head down. Figure that out. So
check.
Yes.
And I actually just had this conversation with Maddie just a few weeks ago. I said, you know, sometimes with our personalities, they're like, well, this is easy for you. You're like, you're positive, you're happy all the time. But I said, there's times we have bad days and things aren't going our way and we get aggravated at people. But it's what we choose to pay attention to, or it's what we choose to look towards. Are we looking for the happiness, the positive, or are we looking for the negative? And that's what it is. It's a constant finding the positive in things.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, listen. Wow. Thank you guys for everything.
Yes.
Thank you for supporting us.
Thank
you for loving us. Yeah. Thank you for sharing our reels and our podcast and doing all our crazy fun things. And Jill, thank you for the last 3 years. Listen, making my dreams come true. Like,
know, a dream I didn't even know I had.
I didn't even know. We're from a queen of acting to a comic reels to everything, being the MC to a big production of the Oscars.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, there's been so many things that I never thought that I wanted or never thought I would do. And it has been an amazing 3 years. And I will always hold it very special in my heart. Always. So
me too, Robin. I couldn't have said it any better. So I appreciate the time and energy that you put into this, and I look forward to our journey in all the avenues that we might. And now we're just gonna have to force ourselves to
just go to dinner.
I know. I mean, I know that you like to eat out, so just invite me along.
I just have to pay for yours. Dave's gonna be like, Alyssa, it was better off when you're doing your podcast.
You don't have to pay for mine. You just gotta invite me.
I'll invite you. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right. This is Listen.
Teacher Chatter.
This is Robin.
And Jill.
And thanks for everything.